we will be starting with one of the most common topics as what could be the first line in a non-driver mutated lung cancer. It is a war of worlds, and that would be the options we have right now. The screen is short, I believe, right now, but yes, we have anti-CTLA4s, we anti anti-PD1s and anti-PDL1s for those students, at least to give them a view. And my talk will be very simple. We will start with where we come from. That's the chemotherapy with the baggage associated with it, where we are with a cocktail of options right now, and whom super soldiers we are going to create in future. This has been repeated since many times, and we know what has been the prognosis of the stage 4 lung cancer. And my presentation will start with a single agent therapy. We started with a very low threshold when the chemotherapy in the backbone with a median survival of around, whatever be it, we use whatever chemo combinations available on earth. The survival never exceeded a year, with less than one third of them surviving over a year, with median OS with whatever beds we used was 7.9 months. And just 3 years ago, that was the ESMO standard of care. It was the chemotherapy everywhere. And we got a slightly over hyped because of the adding of angiogenic inhibitors, that is bevacizumab. And it showed, we could see through a microscope some OS benefit, some PFS benefit, but that also was varied across the trials and across the groups. The maintenance pemetrexate was somewhat also in our armamentarium for most of it. But our aim was, is, and will always be improving OS over the time. We started low with best supportive care, probably during the Advani sir times, to platinum doublets, to anti-angiogenics with maintenance therapy, and now we have chemo immuno options throughout our armamentarium. And with the second line data, we are confident that immunotherapies do work in specific subset of the population. We now have a 5-year data of pembrolizumab as second line and 5-year OS data of nivolumab surviving in second line. So that gives us a confidence that yes, there are long-term non-small cell lung cancer survivors. And that's why which the immunotherapy checkpoint inhibitors, which has become a standard in second line non-small cell lung cancer, we now shift our gears to the first line strategy. We will be discussing the keynote trials, the Empower, the Checkmate, and some of the other trials to lay a foundation on. So the first trial where we will go is the blockbuster Keynote 42, which randomized PDL1 more than TPS of more than 1% into pembrolizumab 200 milligram up to a limit of 35 cycles versus peglicabo or the pemcabo. And the endpoints was the OS in the PDL1 TPS of more than 50, 20, and 1%. And it 305 patients randomized over it, with 83 patients had a crossover to pembrolizumab arm on while they were on the study group, which was effectively the 66% of the crossover rate. And 52% patients subsequently received anti-cancer therapies, including 12 who received a second course of pembrolizumab. And the median follow-up was around 16 months. And baseline characteristics, as we see, were equally matched in between the two arms. And that's the most beautiful curves you can see after the ADAURA trials. 5-year survival in a stage 4 metastatic situation, with survivors ranging from 16.3 in the control arm jumping to 32%. So one third of the patients do surviving after the 5 years in a stage 4 lung cancer, where we started with the backbone of around median OS of 8 months, and less than one third even making up to the first year mark. Now we have a 5-year survival of 32%. That's a remarkable figure. And also the progression free survival, you look up, that's also remarkable. And all of these were because they were objective response rates which were markedly different with 4.5 achieving a complete response in a stage 4, as well as 42% having a partial response. And the duration of response was nearly 5 times as compared to the chemotherapy, 6.3 versus 29.1. You could see those waterfall plots. A marvelous piece to look at, and as well as the treatment duration and time to response. Adverse effects do occur, but all of them being manageable. And we could see with longer follow-up, also with 35 cycles, there were no safety signals that were identified. The second study which was important was the nivolumab study, which compared the chemotherapy with the first line in Checkmate 26. And you could see that that wasn't much of a significance. um, Dr. Ullas Batra sir talked about this study in a varied of the forms, ATZ versus the chemotherapy. And you could see a good OS of 13 months versus 20 months with arm B, and subsequently overall survival in. So we have now known that PDL1 is a very good biomarker across the trials. You could see from in the meta-analysis around 6,000 of these patients, all showing that there is a correlation between the benefit of the immunotherapy and uh, the results of it. And we could use these markers of the IHC interchangeably, the 22C3, the 28.8, the SP263. However, the SP142 has a lower sensitivity, which we know, and we know that immuno checkpoint inhibitors, they have shown the survival benefit based on the crossovers if they were there. So the Checkmate 26 allowed the crossover, which was around 60%. So there was a negative in that. While when we didn't allow the crossover, the pembrolizumab one, the Keynote 42, you could see a positive OS with them. Again, Keynote 24, where the crossover was 65%, it was still seen that the responses were durable and effective. All these shows that at least in first line situation, we can say safely bye bye to chemotherapy. Because you look at these curves, the Keynote 24, the Keynote 42, and the Empower 110, you carefully select a population of PDL1 more than 50% or a TC3 IC3 population, depending upon the clone of IHC you are using, and you could say in 1/3 of the population bye bye to chemotherapies. And is there a relevance of how deep the PDL1 positivity is with the responses and the PFS and the OS? You could see from this publication that the deeper the responses and the longer and the durable are the progression free survivals, it's because of the increase in the PDL1. So if the TPS is more than 50 to 89% and TPS is more than 90 to 100%, the more durable are the responses. The second is the chemo immuno combinations. We know that the chemotherapy induces an antigenic flare in our body, and IOs tend to capitalize on that. And that was the Keynote 189 study design, which took the all comers, even the PDL1 less than the TPS less than 1%. And you could see it could demonstrate again those beautiful curves of 49.4 versus 69.2. And across the TPS also, you could see the hazard ratio of 0.59, 0.55, and 0.42, and the OS benefit also with the same. So it was similarly demonstrated in the Empower 150 study, the ABCP group, where the ABCP group outperformed the BCP group by a hazard ratio of 0.78. In the non-squamous population also, the survival was 18.1 months. And even though there was a crossover in the Keynote 21G trial, even after the crossover also, there was a remarkable OS and the PFS benefit, which led to the FDA approval on 10th May 2017. So we have two trials demonstrating a positive OS and the PFS of pembrolizumab. With Empower 132, there is positive PFS, but not OS. With Empower 150, there is positive PFS and OS, and with Empower 130 also, there is positive PFS and OS. All these showing that the chemo immuno combinations have their respective approvals, even in the Empower 150 getting an EMA approval on EGFR and ALK population. So this is the hazard ratio across the trials, demonstrating a positive OS across the combinations of this. And similarly is the chemo combinations in squamous carcinoma. This was the trial which was latest in the armamentarium, Tasuki.
With
Uh,
us, just to say your time is getting up.
Perfect, ma'am. So it also demonstrated that if we replace the ABCPA with nivolumab, you have the positive PFS and positive, not the positive OS. Uh, the reason wasn't known to it, but still it is remaining the same. But at the same time, you could look at the adverse events, the grade 3 adverse events, which were markedly elevated with um, combinations. The last, I would go to the IO combinations. The IO combinations, as we could see, that they were extrapolated from the melanoma trials, which demonstrated a beautiful, but that was the
Sorry,
ASCO
Vikas, could I
presentation.
ask you to just, could you
Wind up.
summarize your last
Perfect,
slide,
sir.
please? Yeah. Last slide, just tell me your summary
Yeah.
and we should cover that.
In future, what we will be going to would be the Pioneer one, where we could see we could demonstrate a subset of population based on the PDL1 density, PDL1 cytotoxic T cell, CD3, CD8 ratios, and we could tailor the immunotherapy to every person of our population. Thus, we could say that in first line, Pembro is the uh, undoubtful choice if it is PDL1 strong, Pembro plus chemo in others, including the PDL1 negative. ABCP has its definitive benefit in defined subgroups, and IO-IO combinations clearly doesn't place a good therapeutic strategy. The predictive role of TMB is uncertain, and we have a challenge of new combinations, biomarkers, and the duration. And I would like to give to the organizers. Thank you for the opportunity.